I never believed that buildings kept memories. To me, they were concrete and steel and wire, numbers and loads printed on plans. But that night, on the tired carpet outside a brand new hospital wing, I saw a door that was an ET on any drawing ID signed or any inspection report ID filed. It hid a little behind a dead soda machine. On its dark gray paint, time had chewed the letters down to a whisper: Stair 74. The building had only 3 official stairwells, A, B, and C. 74 wasn't a number, it was a tone, something the structure muttered quickly, hoping no one would catch. I hadn't come to chase ghosts. I'm a structural inspector. I believe in what can be measured. But the complaint that brought me here had been strange. The back corridor breathes, and the stair that doesn't exist answers the phone. I laughed reading it the 3rd time. The phone? What phone? For the first time since my father died, I thought of texting my mother to say my job was still ordinary. I didn't. That night, I didn't want anyone to feel I wasn't alone. I shoved the soda machine forward, exposing the door's edge. Warm, old wood breathed through the crack. When I touched the knob, it was cold, as if dipped in water. No new screws around the frame, no seam in the paint. Everything here was older than the hospital itself. How can a door predate the house that holds it? I opened it. Sound came out first. Not a creak or a draft, a distance. A narrow stair falling into cohesive dark, its walls painted a greedy black that swallowed light. Every 2 steps, a weary yellow bulb lit half a tread and left the other to guessing. On the right sat something I hadn't seen in years. An old fire phone, the little metal box that only rings when the world is burning. I didn't hear ringing, yet the phone was talking. It was as if a voice were being replayed from the wall. Same sentence, same stammer, same air caught between words. "Is anyone there? Please, please don't open the door once the counting starts." Then silence. Then return. Same sentence. Same stammer. The back of my hand scratched itself. The counting? What counting? I glanced up at the normal corridor. Cool hospital light, obedient clocks, cameras. In front of me, a world I knew. Behind the door, a world asking one request without getting tired. I went down only 3 steps. To prove to myself I wasn't afraid. The stair was too narrow for 2 people side by side. The metal nosings were scabbed like a sick skin. The air was wet enough to leave a metallic taste on my tongue. On the first landing, I saw what ID not meant to find. Small bare footprints pressed into dust, as if a child had passed minutes ago, not years. I touched the phone. The playback stopped. The landing bulb flashed to full strength, then guttered like a candle, ashamed of being seen. I lifted the receiver. There was no dial tone. There was a single breath, then another, smaller. And behind them, a big chest straining to swallow a cough. Slowly, the sounds pulled apart. A man speaking low, a woman whispering a name that wasn't mine, and a child barely acquainted with numbers, palming the rail and counting. 1, 2, 3. "Who?" I said, and the air changed. A new name entered the place and the weight shifted. I didn't finish the question. I dropped the receiver and the same sentence announced itself from the wall with perfect fidelity. "Is anyone there? Please don't open the door once the counting starts." I shut the door and returned to the corridor. I tried to forget. The old trick. Photograph the problem. Write it into a file. It becomes less frightening when it has a case number. I shot pictures, emailed them to myself, opened the digital plans on my tablet. No Stair 74 in any layer. I wrote a note to the team. Unlisted door behind vending machine. Likely old opening. Needs safety shutter. Saved it. Any realist would have left. But the path to the elevator passed the vending machine. Before I reached it, I heard it. Not from the door this time, from above me, The ceiling grid, the vents, the electrical panels along the wall, a low, steady countdown in a child's breath. 7, 6, 5. I ran. I stabbed the elevator button. On the display, numbers climbed instead of falling. When the doors opened, the cab was dark, and on its back wall, in chalk the color of a sour lemon, one word: enter. I didn't. I took stair C down. Each floor I passed was ordinary. Nurses, standard rooms, white light, a pale nurse's laugh far off. But the counting did not leave me. It fell from no specific place. 3, 2, 1, and then nothing. No blast, no failure, a tactile absence, and some sensing core inside me understood without any reason that the counting ID heard hadn't begun yet. It had been a reminder that another count was coming. It had warned me of a thing I didn't know. I went home at dawn, slept briefly, woke to a voicemail from an unknown number, an old woman's wood-dry voice saying my name properly with a soft southern drawl. "Sammy, you're Ahmed's boy, ain't you?" I choked. "Yes." "Your daddy was here back in '97. Said if the stair came back, tell his boy not to answer names. Don't answer the names. No matter what you hear, don't give nobody your name. Whoever gets your name, gets you." A pause, as if she could sense what I'd done last night. "Did you pick up the receiver?" I replayed the message again and again. My father was never a building man. He'd been a night guard when we arrived, then a driver, then a storeroom supervisor. How did he know a stair that wasn't on any plan? Why leave me a code he never spoke in life? Where had this woman been the 3 years he was dying in a bed I never forgave? I went back at night, told no one, parked far, slipped through the service door so the guard wouldn't see. The machine was in place. The door behind it was waiting. The longest shiver of my life wasn't fear. It was recognition. I had already made the decision. And most importantly, subscribe to stay tuned for new content. This time I didn't wait for the phone. I went down, 5 steps, 10. Each landing cradled a sleeping phone, old wires looped like iron intestines, a dead safety poster, and scratched words, dates, hours, names, numbers, muffled pleas that hoped to stay. On the 7th landing, music began somewhere ahead, a single note plucked on a pipe. Each ping brought it nearer. As it neared, my feet lagged their shadows. I watched my body go first, my shadow behind. Then the reverse. Then the two stuck together like water clinging to glass. I saw her before I heard her, a small hand on the rail, fingerprints like tick marks, a strand of black hair snagged on a rusted screw. A child, not curated bone in a museum, present. When she touched the dark, it stretched like dough. No names, I reminded myself. I remembered the message, but children do not deal without names. How do you promise safety without offering a word for it? "Hey, careful," I said. "The stair's slick." Her hand stopped, then breathing. The private sob a child learns to keep. A small step fighting an order that told it to finish the count. She said, voice salted with tears, "Door's there, but the big man takes names. Mama said nobody can take your name if it stays in your teeth. I hid mine in my tooth." She made a gravelly sound like a pebble was lodged in her mouth. I laughed in spite of fear. That kind of imagining can't be tricked by horror. "Don't tell me your name," I said. "Just follow my voice." The word follow was heavy, as if I'd opened a tiny door in the air. The stair learned there were 2 of us. Cold passed through my bones like a breeze entering a long-closed house, and with it came the voice I'd hoped not to know. A man mispronouncing Arabic the way Americans do, calling, "Sammy, Sammy, Sammy, you hear me?" How did he know my name? Then I remembered. I had spoken it near the message. I had typed it in my report. I had let it into the place when I begged myself not to be scared. I wasn't prey to a stranger. I was prey to my measuring. I didn't answer. Answering is a kind of gift. To the child, I said, "Listen, we go down without talking. When we reach the door, don't touch it. Just stand and let my voice leave." "You'll let your name out?" she asked. "I'll let myself out first." We covered more distance than geometry allows. Space that should have ended folded itself as if the building were rolling around a secret axis. On the 19th landing, the walls grew warm and sweet, like creeks after rain, something good I didn't trust. On the 20th, I saw a door, white, cracked paint, the print of a single large palm sunk into it like a brand. I remembered my father closing my bedroom door, that poised hush that is neither sleep nor waking. At this door, I understood why people say don't answer names. Because if you do, you enter. And if you enter, you bring with you everyone who trusted you. From the left wall, very near now, the voice said, "Come in, Sammy." I didn't. I opened my mouth to say anything that would ruin the usefulness of a word. But the child spoke first. "Don, to say his name. If you say his name, he sees your face." She put her hand in mine, a small hot hand in the dark. I hadn't known something living could be so unmistakably present without being seen. I didn't touch the door. I lifted the phone beside it. This time there was a tone, one high, thin note, then a cut, then return. "Who's there?" I said. I didn't say, "This is Sammy." A child with a tooth had taught me what my father had never managed with sermons. "I'm the one who closes the count," said the old woman who'd left the message. "I'm upstairs right now. I see the vending machine. I see the shadow beneath it. If you don't get yourself out now, the stair will teach you how, and you'll need years." "How do I get myself out?" She gave a short laugh, neither mockery nor delight. A laugh of someone who has watched a thing happen 100 times and failed 99. "You leave your name here, hang it on the nail, walk without a name. If you make it, it'll come back when you remember it without fear. If it don't, maybe you never needed it." How does a person leave a name? A name isn't a coat. I tried to recall all the times I'd hated mine, how teachers missaid it, how an immigration agent wrote it without Arabic in his eyes. But the name I hated was my shadow, not me. The name I wanted to return to was the man who woke me for dawn prayer and said, "Walk my steps if you can." I touched the nail. Something fell from between my shoulders to the floor. No word, no label. Air I'd thought was mine. I could hear the stair breathing without me, as if I'd lightened its chest. I walked. The door did not resist. The distant pinging stopped. The child without a name walked with me. When we emerged, we were not in any modern hospital. A wooden lobby, a big clock showing an hour that didn't fit my watch, the smell of old bread and lamp oil, a high window opening onto a low building with a wide yard. I froze at the flaking sign, Oak Home Orphanage. This wasn't our time, or our place. The child said nothing. She was no child as children are, but something houses keep when they have no one worthy to trust. She looked at me with a calm earned by 1,000 repeats. "Now you'll hear all the names," she said. "Don't answer. Stay nobody until you bring us back. When you hear your name in a voice that isn't yours, don't turn." I, the man who measured the world with a straight edge, found myself measuring with fear. I heard my father's name approach from the corridor. It wasn't him. It was a voice with a comedian's gift, tugging on the name you need most to step away. Fingers like sandpaper pressed my shoulder. I didn't turn. I heard a laugh I knew from childhood. I didn't turn. I heard myself, not yet myself, calling a child by a tender name. I didn't turn. I placed my palm against the glass, cold as water that hasn't been born yet. How did we get out? I can't give every detail. There are moments you can't write without recreating, and I won't recreate anything. I know only that we reached the hospital lobby with oil smell on our clothes. The vending machine was in place, though its shadow was wrong, and the phone behind the door went on repeating, "Dante, open once the counting starts." In our last call, I asked the old woman, "Is it over? Did you close the count?" She didn't say anything for a long time, and then she said, "The counting doesn't end, it learns." Then, "Tomorrow a man will die on Stair C because someone will call him by name. If you want to save him, teach his feet to walk without one." I laughed. I was frightened. What lesson is that? But I understood. The next day, when a false alarm hit the wing, I saw a man turn when his friend called, "James!" I took his shoulder before he made the fatal pivot and looked into his eyes. "Listen," I said, "you're not James right now. You're your steps. Put them here." Without understanding, he walked 3 precise steps as if an old hand guided him. He didn't fall. He didn't vanish into sound. That evening, I found a rusted key at my apartment door on a chain stamped 74. No one had sent it. No one answered my messages. I sat on the floor and cradled it like a timid animal. I thought of my father, who explained nothing and then everything in a single line. Do not answer names. I thought of the child who hid her name in a tooth. I thought of the woman leaning out of a past that refused to leave. So I'm writing this because you may have heard counting this week without knowing where from. You may hear your name from a device that doesn't speak. When it happens, don't prove you're brave. Bravery isn't saying, "I am X." It's walking until you reach a mute door, hanging your name on a nail, and returning to take it back when you no longer need it as a weapon. If you pick up a receiver with no dial tone and hear a child counting, don't finish the count with them. Let the numbers fall alone. Let the stair learn that you can be you without being trapped by a word. Do that, and the door that never appears on plans will fade into a wall that can shelter no one but itself. As for me, did my name reclaim my face? I don't know. I think my name follows me now like a polite shadow. I hang it on the nail some nights before sleep and dream of a low house in an orphan yard and a large hand pressing a print into paint. I wake to the key on my chest, the little chain with its lone number, 74. So when you hear the first ping on the pipes or the first breath in the stairs that isn't yours, don't hunt a physical source. Hunt the nail. Hang what you thought was you. Then walk. The place will try to reclaim you with one tool only. It will remind you of your name. Don't let it win cheaply. And if you happen to hear me calling you in the dark, don't turn. It might be me. It might not. Either way, I'll understand if you don't answer. For those of you coming across this for the first time, let me explain. Last week, something happened in the building. It's not the sort of thing you could have imagined, so I won't bother trying. Let's just say that on Thursday night, while everyone was looking the other way, the structure changed. On Friday morning, we began finding bodies in the stairwells, specifically on stairwell C. So far, there are 19 confirmed, but they're going to stop counting after the 20th, which means there could be more, a lot more. It also means that if you haven't heard the count yet, you might not hear it at all. If you do, listen closely to the instructions. I've given you the basics already, but you should know these things. First, when you hear the count, don't follow it. Try to ignore it, pretend it's not happening. That's what most people do, and it works for most people. There's a reason for that, but I'll tell you later. Second, if you must follow the count, you should know this. The count is always wrong. The place will lie about how many steps you have to climb. The real number is higher than it tells you. Also, the count will always take you to an empty landing. At least it has for me. Third, if you reach the top of the stairs, there are 2 things you need to remember. 1, look left and right, not up and down. 2, step off the stair onto the solid ground and run away fast. Don't go left or right. Don't stand still. The place doesn't want you to get away. If you stop, it will try to hold you. Fourth, if you don't complete the count, the place won't kill you. For a while. It'll wait until you drop your guard. So sooner or later, you'll hear the count again. And when you do, it'll be right outside your door. This time, It'll seem like the easiest thing in the world to follow the count, because you can do it in your pajamas and it'll feel like a game. Don't play the game. Remember, the count is always wrong. If you finish it this time, you'll find yourself at the bottom of the pile. Fifth, if you get to the bottom of the pile, you're not supposed to stay there. The bottom of the pile is for people who have given up, who have lost hope. But if you get there by mistake, listen carefully. Once you see the light at the bottom of the shaft, turn around and retrace your steps. Walk slowly, as if you were returning home. As soon as you reach your floor, run out of the stairwell and lock the door behind you. Finally, sixth, if none of that helps, if you're still stuck on a floor with the count rising steadily inside your head, there's one more thing you can try. Find a nail and hammer. Find a place where you can hang your name. That's right, your name. You see, when you enter the stairwell, the place tries to strip you of your identity. It calls you by names that aren't yours. It tries to convince you that those names belong to you. It wants you to forget who you are. The best way to fight back is to make the place acknowledge you. Make it call you by your name and watch it fail. It's not easy. It takes a lot of strength and courage. But if you manage it, you can stay on your floor. The place can't touch you there. It's like hiding under a blanket from a monster. You might not defeat the monster, but you can hide. If you do any of these things wrong, the place will kill you. You might have noticed that I haven't specified how to start the count. That's because it finds you. It knows where you are. It senses your fear, and when it's ready to claim you, it will use whatever name it thinks will lure you out. Sometimes it'll whisper names in your sleep, but that's just a test. The real thing will be louder, insistent, unavoidable. And when it happens, you'll know what to do. I've written this because you might have heard the count this week without knowing where from. You might hear your name from a device that doesn't speak. When it happens, don't prove you're brave. Bravery isn't saying, I am X. It's walking until you reach a mute door, hanging your name on a nail, and returning to take it back when you no longer need it. If you pick up a receiver with no dial tone and hear a child counting, don't finish the count with them. Let the numbers fall alone. Let the stair learn that you can be you without being trapped by a word. Do that, and the door that never appears on plans will fade into a wall that can shelter no one but itself. As for me, did my name reclaim my face? I don't know. I think my name follows me now like a polite shadow. I hang it on the nail some nights before sleep and dream of a low house in an orphan yard and a large hand pressing a print into paint. I wake to the key on my chest, the little chain with its lone number, 74. So when you hear the first ping on the pipes or the first breath in the stairs that isn't yours, don't hunt a physical source. Hunt the nail. Hang what you thought was you, then walk. The place will try to reclaim you with one tool only. It will remind you of your name. Don't let it win cheaply. And if you happen to hear me calling you in the dark, don't turn. It might be me. It might not. Either way, I'll understand if you don't answer.